to consider item 10G first. No renumberings, just consider it first.
First under item 10.
Under item 10. Anybody else?
G becomes A.
Nothing changes. We'll just do 10G
do
first,
10G.
and
Okay.
then we'll resume the order.
Good.
Okay, so can I have a motion? Second, all in favour? Opposed, seeing none, that carries. And I'll just say that we have very full agenda, so we're gonna not dawdle. We're gonna speak twice, 5-minute limit, the usual stuff. Public participation. Seeing none, we'll move on to delegations. There being none, we'll move on to adoption of minutes of the regular council meeting. On page 3. Anybody got anything to say there? I still contend that. What about the second set of
Yeah, I
minutes?
think the second set should actually be under, like, it should be 5B instead of 6A,
Yeah.
I think. I think they're just on the wrong spot.
Because there's no business.
No, it was reviewing the changes.
Okay, so we'll just have to go back a little bit to
Yeah.
approval of the agenda. Sorry. So that 6A is actually 5B.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion, a reconsideration motion, and second? Further discussion. 6A is 5B. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favour? Opposed? Carries. Okay, so now we're at 5A, adoption of those minutes. I had nothing.
I may have something. Number 3A.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks.
With Mr. Ray Kisser. I was just reading it and it just didn't really, the sentence didn't really make sense.
Okay, how would you like it changed?
So perhaps fire department's new decision to cancel on-call shift. I wasn't sure what volunteers no obligation weekend, if that was what.
Structured, Helen.
I don't know what no obligation.
To cancel on-call weekend shift?
Yeah, I think that was
Okay.
what they were discussing.
That is what they were discussing.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I have the wording right.
Yeah, you're right. The volunteers no obligation weekend on-call duty. You want to re-listen to the
Yeah, that's fine.
thing?
I
or-
think it
I mean, it
flows better that way.
it
That's
does
fine.
flow better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does sound funny, yeah, it needs to be.
It does sound a
straightened
little
out
funny,
a bit,
you're right.
Okay, we can certainly change it.
Yeah, good pickup there. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt? And a second. Thanks. All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. We'll now move to adopt the special meeting minutes of March 26th on page 11. This was only the budget meeting.
And that was that piece under 4A, the replacing the project, not changing the wording of the project.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, so that was just this was held over.
Yeah, and then on
okay.
the second page, that council endorses a tax increase of 8% rather than approves a tax rate of 8%.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so those were mine as I remember, and I think that correctly reflects. So this was we did previously commented on this, so I'll call for a motion to adopt, and a second, and all in favour? Opposed? None. That carries. Thanks. So we'll move on to 6.
Business arising.
I guess it's 6A really, isn't it? We'll just call it 6B though. Action item report, April 7th, page 13. Mandy.
Sorry, I'm just looking here. Page 13. So the first one is you. Were you able to speak to Mike Clay?
I did speak to Mike Clay. I thought I'd reported on this already, but I'll re-report on it. I did
Okay.
speak to Mike Clay. They would like a letter from us. They provided the suggested wording, and I'll just remind you, it was that there is a gas-fired plant at Port Moody that BC Hydro is planning to shut down that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, including some fairly environmentally conscious groups. 2 meetings ago was the letter from Port Moody asking us to resolve. I guess we're not quite there because we don't have the stuff in front of us. So what I suggest we do is bring it next meeting.
Is that going to be too late? I can certainly pull it, craft a letter, and then circulate. You and I can maybe work on that.
Fine. Will it be too late? I don't actually know, to be honest.
Okay, I'll pull
I don't know what the timing was on that
I'll
thing.
pull the old correspondence.
Yeah. It says to write before the AGM. I don't know whose AGM in May. So yeah, maybe we just need to move that one along. Okay, and Mandy, you did the other one. Came up with the most elegant solution.
I did. Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
It's up.
yeah. Well done. Just FYI, that is that you print out a parking pass online. Solves everybody's problems
For your visitors.
for your visitors. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's a great, elegant solution. Well done.
So that was in a recent e-post, right?
Yeah, Friday's
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
Fridays.
I remember reading it somewhere.
Okay, we'll move on to 7A, Rock Removal Lines by Beach, page 15. You've seen the report. The request is to rescind the deadline, time frame deadline, due to the nature of a need to consult with DFO.
Perhaps Nikki could speak to
Nikki, do you want to speak to this?
Okay, so you do have the report in front of you. Unfortunately, if anything is below the high tide line, I need to liaise with DFO to ensure that we're not in contravention of a myriad of regulations and such like. 2 of the big concerns that they have are forage fish and intertidal species. So, and of course, moving rocks is going to, it may or may not affect them, but we need to tick all the right boxes in order to remove rocks, especially down to that size. So I went through the whole self-assessment thing, talked to DFO. I now have to go back and fill out an enormous form asking them if we have permission to remove the rocks. So that's not going to happen by May 8th. So this is simply to let council know that I'm wending my way through the system, but at the moment it's a process and it won't occur by the deadline. So.
Can't we just wear proper protective gloves so the little crabs can't bite you?
But you're displacing their home.
What happens when kids step on the crab? We've got to call fisheries in on that one too.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah, understood.
I'm joking, sorry.
Is this in any way tied to the fixing of the wall, which is also a fisheries thing?
the fixing of the wall is a separate thing because it's a little bit more tricky in that we are discussing where exactly the high tide mark is in relation to where the forms will have to be in order to place concrete. So that's it's a little bit convoluted as well. However, I think that having
Even
them
though
on
it's a
board-
grandfathered wall.
well, they're not concerned about the wall per se. What they're concerned about is the fact that if we are in the high tide mark at all, then all these rules and regulations apply.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the wall's been there 100 years. That isn't of interest to them. What is of interest to them is if we're accidentally or incidentally messing around with riparian zones or intertidal species.
Yeah. Yeah, that's-
Okay, so I have a question with regard to the rocks.
Mhm.
Have we previous years removed rocks, or is this the first time?
First.
No, we haven't. We have not.
We've not
rocks.
removed them, to my knowledge.
So,
I don't have a level of service associated with it, so I would say that we haven't. If we have, maybe we have informally. There's every danger.
so the plan was to remove the rocks and put it where?
Don't ask.
Take them out.
Somewhere else. Donate them to Ken.
Yeah.
And how far So I was actually trying to understand the scope of the work, how far, so we identified rocks over 6 inches, but how, there's a lot of rocks, right? So I'm wondering, like, the rocks that are not sitting in water, are those affected by, who is this? Fisheries
DFO.
DFO care about those ones?
Yeah, because
Yes.
below the high tide
Below
line.
high tide.
In BC, the high tide line is defined as the last vestige of green.
Yeah, so
Now-
where is our officially our?
We don't have that because it's developed. So where would the last vestige of green be if the wall wasn't there? Probably above where the wall is. So it's a judgment call.
It's, yeah, and we would be better to err on the side of caution,
Yeah.
have them involved, and then once you have the stamp of approval, things tend to be a lot smoother, so it's just a matter of process.
Okay.
So,
Okay, thanks. So
Yeah.
is this a resolution or a rescinding or a what?
there is a recommendation, so the recommendation are two things. One is that you receive the report for information purposes, and that council rescind the time frame associated with its resolution.
So the resolution stands, but the date in it comes
That's
out.
high tide?
So it's an amendment to the resolution? Okay. So can I have a motion to amend the resolution? And a second? Any further discussion?
Yes, one more thing. It says, you also say something about purchasing policy, so at the bottom, are we is Public Works doing the work? Is this referring to the rock removal?
Yes. So, Public Works may or may not be doing the work, but if they are doing the work, then we need to have dispensation from fisheries to do that, because we don't actually have machinery that is bio-certified. So we would probably have to get a contractor in to do the work, because we don't have the correct certification on our machinery to do the work.
Wow.
Yeah. Stream flows, working in water,
Yeah.
a lot of regulations. So,
Well, I would suggest we don't work in the water. I suggest we wait till the sea goes out. And then pick the rocks out from dry land.
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
that would
solve that
probably,
problem.
well, there we go.
Can we
Sorted.
have a rock
Put the
removal
machine on
party?
top of the grass, reach over, pull it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
except we don't actually have machines that can reach that far.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, well, I mean, the original recommendation, as you know, was to do it within regular budget, or within regular time or something, but okay, that's one thing at a time. Let's find out just how feasible it is.
Yes.
It's a beach. You know, we're removing logs, we're adding sand. Do we need a license to add the sand, as we have been doing for 40 years?
No, they seem to have, they're aware that we do it, and I haven't had them tell me to cease. So that I don't think they have as much of an issue with as some of the other things that we're proposing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, are we allowed to pick up trash? Because if we're allowed to pick up trash from the sand, then these rocks are trash.
But how about, but we can remove logs.
We can remove logs because it comes under a separate section of the act, and you can remove them with a specifically, like they have an allowance for removal of logs by a, I can't remember how they designate their contractors, but you are allowed to remove logs, yes.
Wow.
Though the contractor has a series of things that they have to go by in order to be able to stay in good standing with DFO, etc. So, yes.
Yeah, okay, so the motion's on the table and seconded. The motion is to amend or simply rescind the
Rescind
deadline.
the date.
Just
rescind
rescind the
time
deadline.
frame, that's it.
And Nikki
Okay.
is on it.
Yeah, so all in favour? And anybody opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Okay, thanks. I think you're up again sometime, but not for a while, Nikki, so.
Yes, I'll sit down and then come back up.
Okay. Moving on to municipal grants resolution, page 17. This is simply to add one additional piece.
So essentially, it's the same resolution that was originally made, but we've taken out the part that excluded the Play School Society.
Yes, what's the 2,500 for the container?
That was
That was previously
that was
approved.
previously
There's strings on
endorsed.
that.
The only thing that this modifies is the fact that previously it said excluding the Hollyburn Heritage Society and the Lions Bay preschool or play school. So we've removed that. So now they're all approved with the exception of that one.
Fine, okay, so that's the resolution right
That's
there.
the new one, yeah.
Okay, so the resolution is that council approves the budget for community grant applications provided by CFO Rook, excluding the Hollyburn.
It's actually the first line, it needs to be part of that as well, because you have to rescind the previously made.
Okay, and then how are we doing the
It's
new
all
one?
one, just read them all together.
Okay, that the Village of Lions Bay Council rescinds the resolution of March 3rd, 2015 pertaining to the awarding of the 2015 community grants, and that, thank you, Council approves the budget for the community grant application provided by CFO Rook, excluding the Hollyburn Heritage Society application, but including 2,500 for the cost of the container for the Arts Committee with the proviso that is placed on site acceptable to the village. Can I have a motion? Thank you. Second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Okay, so that's that. The 5-year plan changes, page 19.
I'll invite Pam up to speak to
Yeah,
that.
Pam, would you like to tell us where we are here?
Yes. So I took the recommendations of council from the last meeting for the changes they wanted to see in the 5-year plan. And I've given an outline of what they were, and then I've highlighted them on the following schedules. So essentially it was what we previously discussed, the Play School Association's application. The $2,400 has been added to municipal grants. And the small community grant was adjusted to equal the actual amount we're going to receive. Excuse me, $310,000. We added the $11,000 to the capital expenditures because we had previously had just the revenue in. And during the audit, as we discussed earlier this afternoon, we adjusted the amortization slightly by $10,000. So I flowed that through the budget because there had been a previous request to base the amortization on the actual 2014. So I've just, on the following schedules, I've just highlighted the where those numbers have changed. So
As a result of that change in the small communities grant, I noticed that they also did not give us any revenue for the traffic fine revenue sharing program. Is that in fact correct? I think you were going to. There is none.
So, no, we don't, because we don't have our own, I actually pulled this out, because we don't have our own police force.
Yeah.
We don't share. What the province's website says is rural communities, municipalities with populations under 5,000 who do not pay directly for policing participate in the program through a reduction in police tax.
Which is $112,000, as I recall. Yeah. Okay.
Can't we just make our bylaw officer a peace officer?
Technically,
Give him a gun?
Actually, our mayor is a peace officer under the Interpretation Act.
That's a scary thought. For me,
Sorry.
I mean.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Pam. So.
So these are basically the changes, and when we come to the third reading of the bylaw, these changes will have been incorporated into those schedules. So this was just sort of to highlight how the bylaw had the schedules had changed between second reading and third reading.
Yes, and we're going to be seeing that. So that is in
Yes.
this
Yes.
reading.
It's in
Yes.
So
the
these
bylaws.
changes are in this thing.
Yes.
I
Okay,
just want to
great.
make sure they were highlighted
Just-
so
yeah,
everybody
make
knew
it clear.
well in advance.
Fine. So there's no need for resolution to
This is-
to receive. That's it.
Just information only.
Thank you. Updated council priority list. Was something expected from me on this one?
We talked about bringing the clean version forward.
Yeah.
Did we want to defer that?
Let's defer
Put
it.
it off?
I have done some work on it, but not ready for prime time.
Okay,
We'll defer that if everybody is cool with that.
perfect.
Key performance indicators, same
Same
thing,
thing?
yes. And the I Love Lions Bay photo contest update.
Well, it's in full steam ahead. We have the kids committee working on promoting it, as well as a teens committee who's also promoting it. The contest ends May 22nd, and then we'll have an exhibition and final judging on the 31st to coincide with Arts and Garden Festival. So that's about it. So let's promote it and take some pictures. When do you need the pictures by for the annual? When
I
is
guess
that?
it goes in right at the very last minute. I guess it goes in right at the very last
When-
minute.
when-
So if
when-
I had them the first week of June,
Okay, so
that would be
that's
great.
kind of the deadline I'm
Yeah.
working towards.
Okay, good. Thanks, Helen. Well done. It's all grist for the mill.
it's exciting.
It's great. So we'll move on to Ocean View and Highview Street beautification update.
Thank you,
Ron?
Mayor. Burr, I'm happy to say that the Public Works Department is making this task fizzle out since they've been busily working on Ocean View and Highview all day, and I expect they're going to be finished up to Ocean View Gate tomorrow, where they've done the weed whacking and they've done the lawn mowing of most of the sides of the boulevards and stuff like that. I'm working on a few dead trucks and some overhangs. This will continue to be a private pay scenario. I do expect there to be the streets cleaned, leaf blown, and the pots on the driveways kind of thing. Observing the both streets today, by and large, short of a little bit of leaf blowing, they're about as clean as they're going to get. There's the piece on the black pipe, contentious with the residents. I'm going to hold my powder dry on that. I'm working with admin for something there.
Yeah, well, the black pipe, yeah. That's
Cosmetically speaking.
okay. Okay, thank you. Anything further on that? We'll move on. To 8A, CAO report, page 27. How is it 50%? I understand.
So there's a couple of things on here that are on hold just simply because they need more attention than I'm able to give them right now. The staff goal planning is one. I'm hoping to start that as soon as or finish it as soon as the annual report is completed, so end of June-ish. The regional contact statement is coming forward in our closed agenda and then hopefully can be released after that. The village survey and census is also on hold. Helen and I need to brainstorm this further, hopefully with some input from the community committee. Most of the things that have been taking up my time in the last 2 weeks are, I have 2 contentious bylaw matters on my desk at the moment and 2 fairly large freedom of information requests. And those have sucked up quite a lot of attention in the last 2 weeks. So some of these haven't had a lot of movement, which I'm hoping to be able to focus on next week. So our bylaw officer will start on Saturday for his seasonal appointment. I'll be here Saturday morning just to reorient him. And I don't have an answer back from Flinro on the wildfire fuel load assessment. I've called them again today. That's about it. I can answer any questions anybody has on the other items.
Through the mayor, on the freedom of information on the bylaw stuff, in terms of magnitude of hours, I mean, in that you are the executive for the village and these are burning the costliest hours.
Yeah, they are. Everything is, particularly with FOI, everything is a guesstimate based on what you're finding and how much time you estimate it's going to take to redact it. One of them is going to require a legal opinion, for sure, before we release any of it, because some of the information relates to a third party. And so we have a duty to make sure we're not violating anybody else's privacy through the disclosure. Right now I would say the bigger one is probably going to take about 100 hours of staff time. So
So between the four things I thought, 2 freedom of information, 2 bylaw.
the bylaw ones are I can't really estimate that. It requires talking to a lot of different. One of them particularly is going to require a fair bit of digging into old files, old property files and bylaw files, and yeah.
Aggregately for the 4, 200 hours?
I can't begin to estimate what that might take.
Aggregately for the 4, 200?
For the 4 things?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably fairly accurate, I'd say. Probably a little bit less.
A working month.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we, is there any ability for us to form a quasi-official opinion as to the frivolity or seriousness of these things? We have to respond regardless.
Yeah, we do.
With
And the issue is not so much the cost. I mean, the cost is a factor, and we do have the ability to charge back for most of the time and cost associated. The issue is that I know myself speaking, I don't have an extra 100 hours. I would love to.
No, exactly.
And I could focus
No,
on
there's
it,
an
but-
absolute
200 hours.
calendar
Yeah.
time thing, yeah.
That's a
So
month.
it's not that we can't charge, it's that we don't have the time in the first place. So
Sure.
it's a bit of a challenge trying to hit those things within the legislative timeframes and still try to manage all the other things going on. It becomes
Don't-
creative juggling.
Don't we give an estimate don't we have a policy that says an FOI request beyond this? And there's a policy in place that says
There's a whole process in
you will
place.
charge
Yeah.
so much for this. So before you start developing or doing the FOI, you need to be able to state what the cost is gonna be.
You,
back
it's
to
all
the
an
party.
estimate. The way the FOI process works, and this is what's governed in the legislation, is that you have to, well, you probably know this, you have to go find the records first before you can provide an estimate to the client about what the work after that may take. So they could abandon the request once you send them the quote, but you still have to do that work up front to source the records.
And the cost is fairly nominal.
It's $7.50 per quarter hour, so $30 an hour. There are some things you cannot charge for, and then you can charge for copying and imaging and that kind of thing.
But it does, we're not trying to use you as a revenue source.
Nor do I want that. But
It's not much different than the WCB rates.
Well, I understand we're stuck
Yeah, they'd
on
be
the
very
thing,
similar,
there's no, I mean, on the bylaw ones, we're hooped, because that's just the way the freedom of information, we're hooped again too. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Aaron, do
Anything
you have any
else?
thoughts on this? I mean, this is, it's a big amount of staff time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big amount of staff time that has to be paid by any municipality. In our case, it's a double whammy because it is our only staff time.
Nobody's doing the work.
Yeah. It's not like we can hire a special FOI person. Yeah, it's a cost of doing business. And I don't mean in terms of the physical monetary cost, because that is somewhat recoverable, kind of, yes, no. It's the opportunity cost that we've lost, and we cannot afford it.
Could we contract out and do the 30 for the 30 kind of thing? I'm just speculating here.
that could be researched. I think the difficulty will be that somebody coming in on a contract basis won't necessarily know where to source the information, so you still need a staff liaison to help with that.
We had talked early on in doing some sort of library science project to try and index all of our stuff, most of which is hard copy, I hardly need to tell you, and scanning it doesn't help. It is actually a fairly well put together filing system. It's all there in black and white, voluminous pages of spreadsheets, you can find stuff. It's a bigger discussion than we're going to have here, but yeah, it's.
And this looks like a budget number for next year.
You do have a budget number for FOI stuff, right? You make provision.
In terms of what it costs us?
No, you make provision in the
Surplus
budget.
time beyond your regular duties.
Yeah, I don't think we did. Pam?
No.
Yeah, I don't think we did we? No.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you had just an introductory type of budget that would allow you to have some place to charge time to while you're searching.
Well, it's not so much that.
Most
I
of it
want
gets
people to
charged
understand,
out.
hey,
Yeah,
we're going to have to raise taxes 2% to account for the
yes.
X $1,000 that we anticipate having to spend on FOI requests.
And we can now track the time, we couldn't before,
Yeah.
but as of 2014, we can track every minute that
Okay.
goes to an FOI
It's on my
request.
list. Okay.
I agree, it is a budget line item.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's unfair to our staff to be, we,
well, certainly unfair to Mandy. Mandy is not the right person to be doing this, but we don't have anybody else. So we've got several problems to solve.
Do we have records about how much time we spent in previous years on FOI?
No,
No?
I think.
we weren't
my-
charging before 2014.
My understanding from previous CAOs that it was in the magnitude of 12 to 15 for F14, I guess.
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a budget item. If people need to understand, they're fully within their rights, but there's fallout.
There's a cost.
There's a cost.
Well, they don't necessarily all come from within the village either, do they?
No, and there's provisions under the Act for that, and it's a whole different segue,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It pauses the time frame, so it extends
Okay.
Okay, as to the CAO's punch list report, anything else? It's good, Mandy, thanks. There's lots of completes and closed here. That's excellent. So we'll move on. Everybody good with that? Mayor and Council, the Mayor has nothing other than what is ongoing. There'll be some stuff discussed later. Anybody else? No? Good, thanks. We'll move on to committees. Bylaw and Policy Review Committee, terms of reference, page 3.1. Jim?
Okay. Terms of reference. So we finally got through all this, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this meets my expectations.
It meets our expectations
It
as well.
harmonizes with the rest. It gets rid of some sort of fairly archaic language, a slight duplication.
The committee's happy with it, we can
Yeah.
work with it.
Yeah.
Speaks to what it does. So, do we want to resolve to accept these?
To adopt, yeah.
To adopt these?
Yeah.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt? Jim, you may as well make it, seeing as you're the chair. And a second?
Propose a motion to adopt the Bylaw Policy and Review Committee terms of reference.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Any further discussion? Okay, so we'll call the question. All in favour? And those opposed? None? That carries. Thanks.
Congratulations.
That's good, yeah.
One under the belt.
Moving on.
Page 3.3. Mandy.
Yeah, I brought this forward because it was at the April 7th, council meeting, there was a recommendation that would be brought forward. This may not be placed best here because I think we're going to talk about this later in the agenda. This just provides some background on the action item that was carried forward to tonight's meeting, and just some background and rationale, the challenges to being able to engage a resident to take over the committee and potential next steps. So.
Yeah, good, thanks for that. We'll discuss this further later. So just a motion to receive.
Sure.
Can I have a motion? Second? Any further discussion? This is a motion to receive the report from staff. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries. And we'll move on to C3, tree application, starting on page 3.5. You've seen them. My understanding, Chair Waterson, was that we were going to put deadlines or when these shall occur. Is this doesn't apply in this case, or should it occur on a certain day?
I'm not sure which application that is.
This is the one from Brian Gillingham.
I think that was before we had that discussion. But
April
it's
21st.
been
Yeah.
discussed with Mandy and myself that maybe we should have that period of no cutting unless it's for urgent
Safety reasons, yeah.
Safety reasons.
Yeah.
So do we want to modify this recommendation?
Can we?
Sure, we can. We haven't moved it yet.
Yes, and
Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I think we should do.
August.
no, the committee hasn't had input on that.
Most of the committees here.
The ones that go anyway. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're telling me that it's within our purview to add a moratorium time frame or an only to occur
Council
time
can
frame.
recommend that. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the recommendation there?
We just would modify this.
Give them 6 months or something like that.
Well, the point is it must not be a nesting season. So it must be not from May to August.
Does nesting continue to August?
I don't know,
I think
Let's make it 9 months.
March to August is nesting season.
March to August.
I think it's pretty March to July, but yeah.
On the website it's in March to August.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay, so
January.
outside the months of March, April, May, June, July, August, that's 6 months.
After August, do we want to say that? We can't say we're past March and April.
Yeah. Well, then let's say,
With cutting to not occur prior to August.
and not after February.
Okay.
Okay.
This is for the bird nesting issue?
Yeah.
Okay, so why aren't we doing a survey to indicate, rather than do this, why aren't we just implementing a situation where they have to do a survey of nesting that's going on in those trees before
I
they
think
cut
it's
them?
impossible for them to spot the nests.
Especially with these.
Okay,
Thick bushes,
okay.
you just can't
These
see.
are ratty trees too.
Yeah, I mean, the
Okay.
bird people will tell you that if it's a hummingbird nest, you can't see it anyway. They're extremely well
Okay,
hidden.
that's fair, yeah, that's good.
I think you just
Just a,
you default to when there are not going to be any nests,
yeah, that's fine.
unless it's some weird southern species. So you can make the amendment, Mandy.
So just so I have this right, with cutting to occur between the months of August and February?
Within the months, yeah. Because,
14 on August 15 and Feb 16.
Yeah.
To occur between August.
Not
15.
before August 2014 and not after February 2016.
15, 16.
Okay, so that council approves the recommendations of the tree committee in respect of tree application number 58 with the provision that cutting must occur between August 15th and February 16th.
2016.
August 15th, 2015 and February 16th, 2016.
Perfect.
Or when you said 15 and 16, were you talking the
The year, yeah.
years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
August
February 16th
20.
is a little specific.
The 16th to the 16th.
Okay, let's try this again.
Do you think we should actually
Yeah.
get some more advice on nesting? So
On
I
the
don't
date?
think any birds nest in February. So I think February 15th is too early. But I don't know. And I think August is very late.
You mean March? Yeah. So
Well,
can
no, I thought you discussed February 5th up until February the 15th.
no, there was a
The end of February.
end of
Sorry.
February.
Okay.
Okay,
Now,
So
will that
March
meet?
1st
Will that meet
With-
the applicant's requirements?
I will
He
again.
doesn't have
That
much
one.
Well, they
call on
don't
it.
really have an option.
No. No. These are municipal trees, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, do you
So-
want me to read it again?
Yeah. Or you could say something like, except in the months of March through August. Other than that, you decide. I want to make it simple and understandable. You may want to stipulate the hour.
All right, let's,
That council-
let's regroup here.
I'm getting
The
hot.
council approves the recommendations of the tree committee in respect of tree application number 58 with the provision that cutting not occur prior to August 2015 and not after February 2016.
Beauty.
Beauty.
You okay with that?
Yep.
Sorry? Okay, good. So we're going to have a motion on that? That's second. Any further discussion? You don't want to set the time? Okay. All in favour? Opposed? Carries. Okay, good. Only the one, eh?
That's okay. Don't need that thing
That
anyway.
sounded ominous.
Cell phone, I don't need it anyways.
Okay, so we'll move on to Manager of Public Works Report, page 37. Sorry. Nikki.
Yeah, that's about.
Need to find that report.
It's on page 37.
Yeah, I've got it
Oh.
separated so because I
Oh.
don't print out the entire thing. Okay, so attached is my active high-level punch list. Key activities for the month of April for me included oversight of the village-wide water main flushing program, considerable contact and follow-up with various residents with regard to locating water service connection valves, newfound leaks, that type of thing, and secondment to write the village's request for proposals for the infrastructure master plan. So the way that we have set up the secondment is I concentrate on it solely for 3 days out of the week, and 2 days I scramble around and try to fit everything else in. So,
And the crews, while Nikki is away, those 3 days report directly to me, so I know what they're working on.
Oh, I thought we had approved that somebody would be seconded.
Yeah,
We
so
did.
Garth is, and Garth checks in with me.
Oh, I see. So
Yes,
how it
so
works.
there's
Okay, and
just,
that's working fine?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So you're physically away?
yes. Otherwise I would never get anything done.
Hence the fancy duds.
Yes.
Yes.
You
Yeah, no
have to
high
dress
vis.
up to be.
I got to go home. I didn't have to come here wearing steel-toed boots.
Orange.
So, and the RFP is coming along. It's
Coming
a
along
draft
swimmingly.
is
Yeah,
complete.
it looks really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, just having to get some of the usual attachments that tend to go along with every RFP. One of which is a sample contract, which takes a bit of time because even though you're pulling it from MMCD, you want to make sure that it's actually relevant.
When do you
Because-
think you'll have that issued? Would you-
well,
It is.
it has to go through the infrastructure committee, and I have to get all of those changes and put into it and things like that. The hope is that it will be issued no later than May the 15th. I'd like to get it out a bit sooner than that if possible, but that's dependent on how everything goes in the backwards and forwards to the infrastructure committee. With the exception, well, you many people around the table are on the infrastructure committee. They've seen that there is a draft in its entirety, missing simply just the other bits and pieces that get slotted in afterwards for an RFP. So those should be done this week.
That's great.
Then prior to it going around in circles, I'll bring back a report so that everybody
Okay,
knows
good.
what's going on.
Will it go to infrastructure on Monday night at their meeting?
Yes.
Perfect.
The data logger piece, fourth from the bottom. That's got a deadline associated with it. Where do we stand on that?
So with regard to the data logging, I had a member of the infrastructure committee come out yesterday. Greg came out to have a look and help with the recommendation. It's my understanding that he will be in contact with the infrastructure committee with regard to his recommendations, and we'll move forward from there. So the general gist is we have capacity to capture a lot of information. The trouble is we do not have a system that is capable of telling us what it is. So we actually have data logging. What we don't have is a SCADA system that can pull it out and give us a report. So that's the problem.
Okay, so Greg is going to come up with something that's.
Greg is going to come up with something that.
I'll just remind us all that we have a budget in this instance of $12,500 for SCADA upgrades, plus $40,000 for water contingencies. This falls under either or both. 60, thank you, even better.
This has huge implication on our management of this
It does.
whole process.
It
Yeah,
does.
the idea here is, for those of you that love technical detail, is to come up with a demand curve of the water. So we know how much water we use at a given time, and how long it takes to recover.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't get into this fascinating stuff. Okay,
So I guess the short thing is I am working closely with Greg to
that's a
ensure
good
that
answer.
we're-
Yeah, thank you.
moving forward.
Okay, for the rest, it seems like it's all going along nicely. Anybody else?
Yes, actually going back to the tree thing that we had talked about earlier. So will the village tree cutting be delayed?
The village tree cutting has actually already been and gone.
Oh.
So, yes. So it was a bit of interesting timing insofar as all of this stuff occurred. Our arborist was told that they actually had to go, they couldn't cut the tree down without actually inspecting the entire tree.
Who told them that?
I did.
Right.
So, and it got reiterated left, right, and center. So they did not cut down anything that had a nest in it. I guess we can argue backwards and forwards, it depends on who you're talking to, whether or not they would be able to see those nests. But these guys do not want to cut down trees with nests in them. And they know that they are the successful proponent, so regardless of when they do the work, they're getting the work. They're very dedicated to doing the right thing. They're very good. We chose them for the reason that they're very good.
Yeah.
So they removed 4, I believe, dead trees, and they were
Well, so
dead.
now I actually promised a resident that I would report on this. So they removed 4 dead with no nests.
Let me get the actual report back.
Is there a report?
There will be a report.
Okay, that's good.
And they also were asked to do an assessment of a number of trees as well, because some trees are going to be more political than others, regardless of whether or not they're on municipal property.
Mhm.
So they're doing a reassessment of the very large cedar that is in serious decline at Lions Bay Beach Park. That one is going to be quite upsetting to a number of people if that has to come down. There are a number of other trees in various stages of decline in Lions Bay Beach Park, and we wanted to get an assessment so that we can make informed decisions about that. There is a tree that was slated to be removed at Brunswick Beach. There was considerable concern voiced by residents at the time of the cutting. That tree will also be assessed. Another tree was removed in the same location with no concern because it was obviously dead and people were actually quite happy to see it go because they were concerned about it. The other tree was designated as in decline. There were concerns raised with regard to erosion of the bank and the feeling that that tree, in addition to a clump of other trees, was actually keeping the bank from eroding further. So that assessment on that tree will include a bank erosion survey to see if those trees are actually keeping that bank where it should be. And once I get the actual count from him, I just don't want you to inadvertently tell somebody anything that I've
No,
told you
I don't
incorrect
wanna
with
go
regard to
half-cocked, so-
number of trees.
Yeah.
So if you could just hold off on that, I will make sure you get the
that'd be great.
information.
Thanks.
This has got e-post material written all over it, and two fronts. One, if we're going to narrow the cutting season for general residents that come to the tree committee, they can certainly, the applications, I don't think they should be stockpiled, they can get approved, subject to what we've just done tonight. So that's one. I think the heads up to the general population on, as the works manager said, a variety of places, but near and dear to everybody's heart is the Central Beach. So I think we probably want to get ahead of that curve too.
Yeah.
So
Wait for the assessment?
I think that you
maybe in the next month.
Yeah, you're going to want to wait for the assessment.
No,
They're
wouldn't
pretty
go
good.
half-cocked there, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And generally with tree assessments, they'll give you a range. So they'll say, you know, we've assessed the tree at X number. This number means here's your range of, you know, when this should come down, all the things that are wrong with it. It's quite detailed. It will definitely give us food for thought to move forward, and it will give us the time frame to be able to relay to residents.
Yeah. Good. Helen?
Yes, and then I think you touched upon it earlier with regards to the retaining wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I saw any report of that later, but is this?
The retaining wall itself is at the moment in talks with DFO, just to make sure that we are not inadvertently requiring them to approve the project before we start.
How long have the new regulations been in place?
The newest ones,
Yeah.
I do not know. All I know is what I'm dealing with right now. I haven't had a beach to deal with.
Okay.
So even
Before.
though with maintenance, maintenance work, they still need
Yes.
to get involved.
Yes.
Well, I'm just wondering, and this is my cynical nature, please don't take this the wrong way, but I wonder how many residents on Lions Bay Avenue that have pushed their property lines down past the water line and had a permit to do so.
And it has a permit.
Yeah.
It has a permit. Hmm.
And honestly, that may well be the case. I just would prefer to err on the side of caution when it comes to Department of
Of course.
Fisheries, because we really need them on board.
And how long would this project take if it's a go?
It shouldn't take very long,
Like a couple of days or
a
weeks?
couple of days. Call it a week maybe, but I would say it's a couple of days.
The trick is, with the DF, all those guys, you just approach them, go through the permit process, and talk to them nicely, keep them happy, and move
Yes.
on.
Yes.
We will get our,
They'll be fine, but you're exactly right. They need to do the right thing, because if they suspect you're not doing the right thing, you will have a problem forevermore.
Okay, good. Helen? Any more?
No.
There's several things more in here, but they come up later in
Yeah.
the process, so we don't need to touch on them now. Thanks, Nikki.
Yep.
Next one is Nikki too.
Say again?
The next one is Nikki too.
The next one's me.
Okay, good.
I'll just-
So,
I'll just stay
we'll-
here.
Let's stay there. We'll move on to section 9 resolutions. Log removal at the beach park, page 41. So you've all seen the report. It says resolution on top, but is that actually a recommendation?
So,
It's recommended.
Recommended resolution.
mhm.
Okay.
Yes, so, this one, is a little, it's a bit convoluted. So on April, I'll just sort of back up, so just to give people a bit of a timeline, which actually everybody around the table was CC'd upon. But on April 10th, I received an email from Mayor Burr asking me when the log removal was going to take place because we've had some fantastic weather and people are obviously using the beach, and you know it would make sense to perhaps move the removal of the logs up from when we normally do it, which is generally just before the May long weekend. Move it up because of all this splendid weather. So, and in that email stream there was an ask for confirmation that the logs were not to be simply taken out to sea and abandoned. And so that started me, there was sort of a series of emails that went backwards and forwards with regarding to the timing of the logs and disposal methods and levels of service and all that stuff. I didn't get a response from council with regard to any of those emails. It was just, it seemed to be playing out and it just is what it was. So our contractor responded back to my queries with regard to, hey, what do you guys do with these logs? Because I didn't know what they did with them, so might as well go to the source. On April 15th, and they indicated that they towed the logs to Boyer Island and placed them above the high tide line on the northeast side of the island. And that is what they had been doing all along. That was just
How did they place them there?
I don't know. They
Because
just
I'll tell you that
indicated,
it's a cliff on the northeast side. It's a
Okay.
sheer cliff. So I'm
all I can do is relay what I was told, and then I relayed that information back to council as per the request, which was to simply say, are they abandoned at sea? No. They're towed to Boyer Island. If they got the location wrong, I'm just simply relaying information.
okay. Well, what was reported to us at the time was they were taken to the northeast corner of Boyer and dropped. Now the northeast corner of Boyer is a sheer cliff, 200 feet high.
Okay.
There's no dropping logs anywhere on Boyer except on the south side, which is where the houses are. That wouldn't go down very
Okay.
well.
So the information was duly noted, and it was encapsulated in an email that went back to council saying, hey, they weren't abandoned. They're placed above a high tide line.
No, the
somewhere.
report said they were dropped north of Boyer Island. There was nothing there about being dropped on Boyer Island. Besides which, there's no way they can drop them on Boyer Island. So we now got two pieces of information that conflict with each other. Be that as it may, we're not going to drop them on or near Boyer Island anyway. So
Either or,
Yeah.
not good solutions.
exactly.
Well, personally, if you're not dropping them on land, I certainly don't wanna see them dropped in water, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
run
it's
into
totally
them.
irresponsible, and we're not going to do it.
Okay.
I don't know how they would drop them on Boyer Island other than having
Picker.
some kind of mounted crane, floated crane. So
Well, they
Who knows
wouldn't,
what
they
that
wouldn't be
is.
doing it
The
for that
logs-
cost.
Okay, so the logs once removed from Lions Bay Beach Park are towed to the back side northeast of Boyer Island. And you're correct, I did not clearly state that they indicated that they placed them above a high tide line, and I had indicated that the likelihood of the same logs returning to Lions Bay is estimated 1 in 50 or fewer.
yeah, I'd like to
So-
see a DNA test on that one. But
Okay, so
yeah, I mean,
again,
How do they know?
I'm simply relaying information that I'm told by a contractor.
Fine.
Okay. And then some more emails went backwards and forwards, indicating that that was not acceptable. And so I indicated that in an effort to not keep going backwards and forwards with the contractor, and because I need to take direction from council as a whole, that I needed to have some direction from around the table to tell me what to do next, basically. So on April 22nd, I received notification of direction from council per my report that's in front of you today. So on May 1st, our contractor confirmed that they could ensure that the logs didn't go anywhere but a sorting facility, and then at the sorting facility they would be disposed of. So that is the information that is in the report to you today, which takes away the problem of where the logs are, because no matter where you tow them to, you could end up in exactly the same situation, weather-wise or whatever, that the logs will end up back in the water and we'll be doing the same thing again. So there were 2 points that were consistently made throughout the various email exchanges, and there were many of them. One was that time was of the essence, and the other was that the environment is paramount. So if time is of the essence and the environment is paramount, then the solution that is before you is, it ticks both those boxes, quite frankly. The logs cannot ever come back because they will be disposed of. They will be disposed of in a manner that cannot have them returned back in the water. So one would assume that that's pretty environmentally friendly. And we don't have the risk of displacement again. My cruise, so there's two ways I could have gone here. One is my crews could go down, buck up all these logs, remove them manually from the beach after they buck them up because we don't have the equipment to be able to actually move the logs. We run into the same problem again where I'd have to hire some equipment to move the logs, or my guys will have to go down onto the beach and cut the logs on the beach and take them to a truck and then go chip them, which would also cost a fair bit of money and time. So, and the focus to date has really been on the council priority of leak detection and water main flushing so far. That'll obviously, move a little bit. But insofar as not having, not losing impetus on programs that are already in existence that have to go forward, and to deal with this in a timely manner, this was the most effective way upon reflection to do what was asked of me.
So I hear that you considered, thanks for that, chipping, whether at the beach itself or not.
We would still have to go down the double handle logs, and we'd have to clean up the beach again after we were there because we'd have sawdust and everything everywhere as well.
The first tide would take care of that.
Sorry, Nikki, can I just ask, maybe it plays into the earlier conversation, if the guys are on the beach with chainsaws bucking logs, is that another DFO request?
That one I would blast past them. I have seen, there's locations in Vancouver, for example, where they get a contractor to drag the logs way past the tide line, and then they erect signs that say, you can use your chainsaw, and if you have a wood-burning fireplace, have at her, type of thing. It's not on the sign, but those logs are actually physically moved off the beach. So, yes, I would have to actually ask the question, because there are not people with chainsaws on that beach. The logs get dragged. I don't have the ability to drag those logs.
Yeah, no, they'd have to be bucked in place and then carried by hand to the chipper, just like any tree removal crew does themselves. They ring a backhoe with them. As we've seen, the ninja guys, they buck them up into man-carryable and stick them in the chipper.
Yes, we, as I said, we can do that. We would still have to clean up the considerable sawdust after us because we would have to do it on the beach, and then we would have to take them from there to the... So it would be a 2 or 3 day process with the crews that I've got.
Well, I don't know if you've looked at how many logs there are. It would be maybe a 1 day process. I mean, it's done by a contractor. It seems to be, the contractor charges $1,800 to tow them to Boyer.
Correct.
And now they want another $2,700 to tow them to Watts Point, which is behind Gambier, correct? And that's quite an add-on for an extra half a mile. The problem is,
the travel
80% of the logs are not towable. They're this size, they're rotten, they're this round. There's no towing those logs. They would have to be disposed of anyway.
So to answer your first question, the way it's broken down is they could do it one of 2 ways, both of which equal about the same amount of money. Their travel time is $1,800. Unloading and loading of logs is $300 an hour, and they estimate it would take 4 hours. And the disposal fee, i.e. ensuring, like not dropping the logs anywhere, but actually using the facility, is $1,500. Alternatively, they can put a 40-yard bin on the barge, load logs into it, load them, unload the bin. Travel time, that's about $1,500. They need ramps and stuff to do that. It's another $200 per ramp. They load the logs into the bins, so same deal, 4 hours, $300 an hour. And the disposal fee is $770 a bin, and they estimate it'll be 2 bins. We have sent them photos.
Okay, so the other issue is this is not an environmental problem. This is a boating problem.
Sorry?
The idea is not to drop the logs in the sea because it's a boating hazard. The logs came from the sea. Returning them to the sea is not the issue.
Well, they'll also return.
Of course. The other solution was to take them north instead of south and drop them on a making tide on a beach here that is not in the navigation channel. That is actually a beach, not this amazing. Boyer Island is slab-sided. So I don't know what we've been told there. They were dropping them in the channel. We all know that because we drove past those logs. Every summer, in the early summer, you drive past too many logs north of Boyer, and I now know where they came from. Okay, so it's in front of you.
I have a question. Have we looked into, because earlier you mentioned people who, tree people, would they be able to, like the Burley Boys or, I don't know, Steve Trees, be able to just pull them out and, like they do other trees in the village? And
I am uncertain whether that will go through DFO. See, right now, I have the ability to do it the way that we've been doing it because that contractor is allowed to do it and they've gone through all the DFO hoops. I can definitely look into that.
I think we need to look into that. I'm loath to spend $2,700 to.
It's 4,500.
Well, some of it we're going to do anyway.
Well,
Well-
there's another solution. And there's nothing saying, I mean, I don't know how much, I don't recall how many logs are down there right now, okay? But is it possible to stockpile the logs for another year, move them off, stockpile them there, and then next year when we do it, have twice as many, and more cost effective to do the removal?
I don't know where we'd store them.
Well-
Store them.
There's a lot of logs. The beach is covered above the height, above the
We'd still
the
have to
tide
pay to relocate
But-
them.
It's just,
It's
it's,
not a bad
I mean,
idea.
it's expensive. The
Well,
fuel cost isn't
well,
gonna be any different to
it's the
haul
same-
them
the same
twice
it's
as
gonna take.
twice as many,
Yeah.
or, half as many.
I mean, to me, this looks like a contractor having a laugh, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Bins? No. Tow them somewhere else. But just like they've always done. They certainly were not dropping them on Boyer. That's nonsense. Do they think we don't know what Boyer looks like? Yeah, I'm loath to spend this kind of money. My solution, I take your fisheries point, is to chip them. Any number of chipping crews out there with the right chipper, there will be some that will not fit in the chipper. They will have to be split halfway down with a 36-inch chainsaw. I would suggest that. Now, whether fisheries would allow us to do that, I don't know. 4 hours they estimated it would take them. I imagine it would take less than 4 hours to chip them up. It's not that many logs. We can't burn them, just by the way. You can't burn salt logs. Not very good for the machine.
And John Dudley mentioned he wants chips. It's probably a bonus.
These will be salt chips, at
Oh,
least on the
no good?
outside. No, I wouldn't recommend them for horticultural purposes either. No, they need to be just dumped
Oh.
in the place where you normally dump chips.
Perhaps we should ask the works manager to do a little foray into the
Yeah.
tree cutting, chipping sphere.
Can you investigate that, Nikki?
Yes, I can definitely investigate that with
I'm loath to spend another $3,000 on it.
DFO first.
And-
Considering I've got them on speed dial now, it'll
No,
all be
that's,
good.
that's fine, but the other point, that this is, the year's upon us now, okay? For next year, can we consider other alternatives, for example? And I just thought of this now, is that, first of all, that park is right beside a boat launch ramp in a marina. And during days when it's not busy down there, could they not haul them up the boat launch ramp and then buck them up and then haul them away? I mean, we don't need to have barge, and we don't have to have a tugboat.
Just contract
we
the
don't have
Marines
to-
to do it.
Well,
Just
yeah,
got a backhoe.
well, I don't know, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, to be honest with you, I think the Marine's done a lot of it in the past. Yeah,
Winter project.
yeah.
Well, now we have, the beach is covered in logs right now.
Well, this
Because we had a
is,
particularly stormy season.
yeah, but this is the next year part of it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not saying do it now because we're into boating season and they're gonna be busy, but it's a thought for future planning.
Yeah, that's another good idea. Okay, so that giving you enough to go on?
I do need a resolution so I know what I'm working towards. So we've had a couple of ideas and I'm unclear as to which one I need to do first. I understand that yours is a second year thing, but I've got a couple of different ones. So can a resolution please be put forward and I will definitely get onto it.
Mandy, do you want to do that?
Explore fallers and chippers.
Yeah. That
Explore water and
that
chip-
the
Fallers and chippers.
manager of public works will
Land-based fallers and chippers.
explore
That I
the
will
potential of
consult with DFO and bring forward
recommendations with respect to fallers and chippers to address the beach logs.
And it may be that DFO won't allow it to occur on the beach, then we'll ask Ken if we can use part of his back lot there. We'll ask him if we can borrow his backhoe, he'll bring them up, and we'll chip them in the parking lot. So the fisheries thing is not much of an issue.
Well, it would be if you're using the backhoe, but if he came around the other side, then it may not be an issue.
Cameron, what's that?
If he dragged them around water-wise, it probably would not be an issue.
Yeah, but
The
that's a
issue,
huge boat issue and chains and logs getting away from you. And
So we
It-
have
But
a motion
that's-
on the floor.
Could
Do you have a motion?
Could do
Go
it with
forward
his
a
chase
motion, so
boat.
we need to-
He could, if he could get it dislodged in high tide, he could do it with his chase boat.
I can definitely ask him as an option, you know, can you do this? But I would suggest that the way that things have been going and the fact that I can actually remove logs without asking DFO permission when it's done from the ocean side. It's a lot easier to go that way if you want it done quickly.
so, sorry, go on.
We have a resident boom boat. Okay, Rob Wilhelm owns one, okay, and it's just down at Brunswick, or down at Britannia, and he runs by here, up and down here all the time, you know?
Sure, he'd like a few $100.
Yeah, I'm sure he would,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this a contractor that puts the swim boom out as well?
He's the guy that
No,
manages the marina.
The marina puts out
Oh, the marina does that for us?
Yes.
I'm mindful that manager reminded us that we have a motion on the table, so can I have a second on that motion? We'll have some further discussion.
So with regards to the motion, should we put a deadline? Because do we need to do this before the sand, do we have to remove the logs before we dump the sand, or does it not matter?
We have to keep in mind what Nikki said on her previous report in that we just rescinded a deadline because of all the steps that are required to go through DFO and the tasking. So I think, you know, Nikki has her takeaway and, you know, time is of the essence. That's been made clear through how this report came forward.
How did these guys handle the logs before? How did they get them down to the waterline?
Who? The
The contractor,
contractor? The
yeah.
contractor comes in on a high tide. Drags them out.
You know, the logs aren't floating.
Well, they
The
drag,
logs
They
out
drag-
of the storm
They
them down.
drag them out. They come in from the water and drag them out.
with a boat, with an anchored boat in the glass sponge.
I honestly
No.
have no idea.
No, they'd use a boat under power to do that.
They drag them out.
Have you seen the size of these logs?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're talking 50 tons of log. There's no boat can drag that log out. It's going to be put in the
Okay.
water by a backhoe first.
Okay.
So I don't want to get too fancy on the fisheries thing. If these guys have always just brought a backhoe down and dumped it in the water.
My crews have never indicated that a backhoe was used. They indicated that they came up in a boat and they towed them.
You back a boom boat in there that's got a prop on it.
Yeah, well, those will have a high tide problem.
And you've got no problem. Believe me, they'll pull it. But the other thing is that we cannot be the only community facing this with a beach. I mean, you got Belcarre, you got Anmore, all these places, you know, that have beaches.
Yep.
And sure to goodness, they have a similar problem. What do?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard.
For a future, yeah.
Vancouver has equipment. They drag them up
Yeah.
to a
Well,
section and they
Vancouver's
let people.
got more money than we do.
They let people have at her. They put up signs.
They really allow people to burn logs.
They don't allow them to burn them. They allow them to buck them up. They drag them to way beyond the tide line onto the grassy area and they let
Just
them
to
buck
do
them
the
up.
lumberjack thing.
They do that in the river too. They pull it right up in the park, then people pull up their trucks and just buck. You see them all the time when I'm going to the marina. I see them all the time up there bucking logs above.
And then just walking away saying, oh, that was fun.
Yeah, they just,
Frustrated woodchucks.
It's a,
Okay,
it's
I
a
think
good way
we've...
to dull your chainsaw quick.
Okay.
Sand-filled log, right?
no,
Times are wasting and times pressing, so we're going to move on this one.
We
Okay.
didn't pass that
We
motion.
No,
don't
we haven't
have a
yet. So
resolution,
the
yeah.
motion's on the table. We need a second. Thanks. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Okay, who knew logs could be that fraught with
Carol.
difficulty? Bylaws. Outdoor water use bylaw on page 9.1.
Nikki?
It's not my bylaw. It's not mine.
Nick
No,
will just
sorry.
stay in case she has
Subject
any
matter
insight
expert.
to add.
Okay, Fred, you should take this one.
Sure. Yeah, this has been worked over a bit by, presented from by the infrastructure committee with the interest of cutting down on excess water usage at peak times. One of our members has amalgamated a lot of the information from using typically Squamish's outdoor water use bylaw and blended in a bunch of other things as we've got as to the attachments. This is being reviewed by the infrastructure committee, and to the best of my knowledge, it stands pretty well. And the recommendation is that council pass this because we have a shortened time frame from when the summer's coming on. So if we're going to enact this thing into a bylaw, we need to get a move on before the high demand season picks up. The only difference I might suggest as a consideration is that between the second and third reading, that the bylaw review committee have a look at it for any tweaking that might need to be done.
We already resolved that we would go straight to council on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we won't be able to adopt it the first week of June if it takes another committee turn.
Okay.
And I think that was the rationale.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right, and sort of based on other bylaws, similar ones, there's already a revision onto this one, but that's fine, that can be handled in the next readings. Yeah, I think Fred's got it exactly right. This is good. I've looked it over. I'm very happy with it. I think it's something that we have to have. I need to say snowpack.
We don't want to sit on it. No,
We
we
don't
have
wanna
to
sit
move
on
on
it.
it.
Snowpack's 13% of normal. We'd be looking at various scans if we didn't have something like this in play pretty soon. The idea is that you go to conservation level 1, regardless, June 1st.
Oh, if I can also add, if you pardon me speaking again on it, at the EMBC meeting that Helen and I went to earlier, they were talking that the mid-range snowpack never arrived this year. So we're already into the high-level snowpack melting now. So it looks very much like we're going to be very short of water this year. And we just hope that we don't completely run out. But I think the best defense we can have now is to conserve what water we do have so it's not wasted.
It's a multi-pronged effort, which we're all very familiar with. This is one part of it, an important part. So, you've seen the material. There's a lot of background material in terms of what needed to be done. The meaty part is the bylaw, which starts on page 112 and runs through page 122. As I say, I'm somewhere between pleased and proud of this. I think it's good.
The important piece for this bylaw, if this is a training exercise for the residents, it's not that we're going to, quote unquote, June 1st, turn a switch and we're going to run out of water. And right now, even if we stall it off till July, we're not going to run out of water because we're still running water into the ocean and our tanks are full, okay? But the idea is that have it in place so we can enact it as quickly as possible, go on water conservation level 1 immediately, or June 1st, and then people are ready, they're used to it, and there's no surprise.
Yeah. It's, tweaking the behavior as quickly as we can so that if we hit crisis mode, the habits are already enforced.
How are we conveying this out to the residents? Because it's a big, big bylaw. Are they gonna?
People aren't going to be expected to
Read
read it.
it.
Cheat sheets here too.
Yeah, there will be
Yeah.
ongoing marketing.
Yeah.
Should we have maybe like a
Cheat sheets in
Cheat
the
sheet right there,
that's
Page 120.
page 1, 2, yeah.
And you'll see in the covering report, there's 2 highlighted items under attachment, that's 4 and 5. Those are the education pieces that we want to put out to the residents, but they weren't ready
Page
at the time that we compiled this.
188.
Yeah, the idea here is to get the bylaw underway.
Yes.
The rest will come along for the ride.
Yeah.
I think that I think this is one of the meatiest first kick through the
Seventh
uprights,
page.
first time pieces of legislation I've seen. It's stunning, and it's a gift for council.
I agree. Okay, so I think we're ready to go for a motion on this. We'll have some discussion further. Fred, would you care to? Thank you. And second? So any further discussion? I didn't see a second, to be honest.
Do you want me to read the recommendation, just so it's on the
Yeah, thanks, Rudy.
so, the resolution is that council passes first and second reading of outdoor water use bylaw number 484 as presented, and that staff compile additional updates to the draft bylaw as noted in the marked up document to be brought forward to council for third reading at the May 19th regular council meeting, and that council further directs staff to formalize the community education material for water conservation measure and prepare the distribution strategy of those materials to the community.
Very good. So we've got a motion on that. Can I have a second? Thanks. And so any further discussion?
Not really about the bylaw, well, kind of, because to enforce it, there's gonna be a bylaw officer. So the current bylaw officer, his responsibility will be expanded. So will his hours be?
Not really expanded. He's responsible for all the bylaws, when.
But he's gonna have to be more vigilant checking, right?
Works
Yeah.
manager's a
So that'll
bylaw
be-
officer too.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So during the week, we have Nikki trained up, we have Andrew in a pinch, and then on the weekends, which is where I think we'll see the most watering and that kind of thing, that will be something that I'll have on our bylaw officer's plate.
And he will be walking around
Yes.
looking for wasted water.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Wet
it's defined in
driveways,
here.
be looking for wet driveways.
Yeah.
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 And that's defined
This
as
has become a
wasted water.
culture in the
And the
village.
fine, it just says up to $10,000?
We haven't established the
No.
fee schedule for some of the
Penalties
things
aren't
in here, and that's why there's some commentary provided in the bylaw, and that's the takeaway for staff to finalize that.
Does that take place within the bylaw or in the fees and the charges schedule? Of a
Fees and
different
charges
bylaw?
would be the water permit that's referred to in here,
Yeah.
but fines would not be. That's a separate bylaw that's got to be updated at the same time. So there'll be a lot coming forward on
So
the
the numbers, the actual fine numbers, would not form part of this bylaw anyway?
Nope,
Okay.
not usually.
Okay, good.
The most important piece of this is how this cheat sheet is communicated, and like the forest fire signs, you see we have, okay, we need to have this one as predominant and it wouldn't even hurt to have it on the entrances to the exits to the highway and all that kind of stuff, so people see it on a regular basis.
Well, I think the bylaw calls for it, so we
Yeah.
have to have one.
Yeah.
In fact, I think we have to have three.
Yeah.
When would adoption take place? 2 weeks after May 19th?
It would be the first meeting in June, which is the 2nd. So it's the day after the restrictions would be in place.
Yeah. Is that?
I don't see an issue with that. I mean,
Okay, so the motion's on the table and seconded. Discussion, anything further? So we'll call the question. All in favour of first and second reading of the outdoor water use bylaw? Good, thank you. Opposed? Calling for opposed? Seeing none. That carries unanimously. That's good. That's the quickest bylaw introduction ever. Council procedures bylaw. Was that a nod to Nikki saying that she can
yes,
depart?
she just.
She took off. Alright, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so on we go. Page 43.
So there's a summary report in front of this bylaw, or we brought it forward for second reading at the request of the Policy and Bylaw Review Committee, who had a look at the suggested revisions and updates. Just as some background, this received first reading in January and then was referred down to the committee level for some further research. We looked at what the ministry requires to be in a bylaw versus what is redundant because it's already in the community charter, and then kind of the procedural things that you need to have, but you can define the wording of. So the updated version is in your package. Some of the changes that are brought forward are in that bullet point list under point 4. Opening purpose statement was refined with more modern language. The definition section was refined and the document was updated just for consistency throughout. The defined terms were capitalized. The resolution section, which had been previously removed, is now reinserted because it's mandatory under the ministry requires it. Some minor typos were found and put forward. Jim and I have talked about this because of after the committee, as I was moving my way through some of these updates, it became apparent that we need a few more things around the committee structure, just so it's very clear what the intent and role of committees are and how this bylaw would affect their work around this table at the committee level. So I've added in sections 54 through 59 that hopefully address that.
Okay, thanks. Comments?
I'm fine if there's something that comes up, we can change it later.
Yeah. How much detail do you want to go in on commentary now? Because I have quite a few. I'll just run through them, but after Helen's had said what
I
she
have a
says.
few, no, I have a few as well.
So do you want to get these comments in a list? Just let's headline them now then, Helen.
So there are updates to be made prior to third reading?
Yeah. Certainly.
Okay. Oh, we may as well start.
Okay, let's just get a quick whip through them. Go for it, Helen.
Okay, so, point number 4, there's reference to the council strategy committee being CSC. Are we back to using COTW?
Councillor Watterson, what page are you
No.
referencing?
She's on page 48 of 188.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 47?
No,
47 or 188, yeah.
Oh, so not,
no, I understood that the reason that we wanted to change that.
Oh,
Wasn't that one
so
of the
that we
first
can-
discussions
okay.
we had?
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
so we purposely put that in there so that we can
So
now
that we could
call it
remove
CSC.
committee of the whole, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, and just a question, so page 50 of 188, point number 8.
Yep.
It refers to the regular council meeting, so is there reference to, because it lists all the, procedures and whatnot for the regular council meeting, but how about for the strategic meeting?
So if you go further along through, the CSC committee has a separate, the
can
council
find
strategy
it.
committee has a separate, it's on part 7, it's 50, 51, and 52.
What page?
Page
51.
65 of 188, and point 52 applies.
Oh, okay. But this one doesn't need to list, like, it doesn't have to be as detailed as,
No, because a council strategy is a committee of council. The same rules apply under the charter for giving notice and all those kinds of things.
page 51. Yeah, I was just wondering, what is an electronic meetings? What are those?
So if you couldn't participate, if you couldn't physically be here but you wanted to participate, you could conference in on a speakerphone. So you can participate electronically.
And so it says no more than 2 council members
Right,
can call in.
that's right.
We do meetings like that all the time. On the bylaw committee for ASTTBC, we have people phoning from all around the province, and it works
Yeah.
really well.
We're doing quorum's live though,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
it's-
it's got to be coordinated.
And they can't be chaired electronically, I think it says in there. And this particular, the electronic meetings piece was mandatory under the
Yeah, but I just didn't know
guidelines
what-
from the
what
ministry.
that was. And then page 53 of 188, number 17, bracket 5. Is this a new thing?
Yes.
Yeah. No.
So we got a legal opinion on that, and the legal opinion said we were within our rights to do that. This came out of some questions raised actually at the all candidates meeting, if you'll recall. People were concerned about personal recording devices being brought in, and then the video being manipulated to the point that what was now visible didn't meet the intent of the overall conversation, and the only way to stop that is to ban recording devices. Because the other thing is, a result of a lot of those videos were FOI requests.
Well,
No, no,
I want to be careful with that type of thinking, and this is just me, okay, that type of thinking, because the reason that we do closed business meetings and stuff like that is that because there are certain things that can't get out and that. But when it comes to regular meetings in a hall or regular meetings of council that are in public view, okay, I don't know that really, I understand it, but I'm not saying that it sends the right message, that's all. And that's a tough call, no matter how you look at it.
I think if we weren't recording at all and then we were banning recording devices, that might be a tough sell. But we post all our audio the very next day. It's all there in its entirety, even the laughs and the snorts and some things you don't want to hear.
Okay.
But it's all there. I mean, it's for council to debate. It's your bylaw, and if you're not comfortable with that in there, then it can certainly be removed. But the premise of that being put in there in the first instance was so that we could have control of any manipulation of the audio.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that one. This one bans the press. Or at least
Council can resolve to allow press if they show up on site. You can always make a resolution to modify.
I mean, there is an official recording, that's the village recording, that is always trumps any edited, overdubbed, over-manipulated, that doesn't, people can do what they want.
If people listen to the whole official version.
No, I mean, if anything comes up out of some manipulated recording, you can always trump it with the official recording.
One question I've often wondered about these recordings when I see them posted on YouTube. Is that permissible, or is it invasion of personal privacy if they haven't got clearance from the participants to be on broadcast?
We asked this question of the lawyer, not so much because of counsel around the table, because there is an expectation. You're in an open public office, you've assumed that role, so there's some expectation. But the question we posed was for staff who might be in that. And the lawyer said, there's an assumption when you're working in the public that may happen, but if staff ever raise that concern, that would have to be addressed. Whether you put up a shield or...
Okay, we're not going to debate this one now, but that's not going to go down well.
We haven't had any feedback on this bylaw. It's been out a few times before it's been released for public review.
This has been in there for a while?
This has been in there from the first
From the
blush.
beginning?
Yeah, it's been all along. It's just a point of discussion at this point,
Yeah.
and if we don't discuss it, we're not being diligent about it, that's all. And that's where I'm coming from.
I think it's a valid point for sure.
Yeah, good one, Helen. What
So
else
then
you got?
so I don't understand, so do we leave it in, or we
That's for council to decide.
In.
out? Do we have to decide, is it now?
When we bring it forward for third reading, we won't be able to make any more changes.
So I would
Yeah,
say,
this is
I
it.
don't
Then in my view, I think it should be out.
Sort of a lack of transparency.
Not to stalemate it, but I lean towards keeping it in. Sorry.
That's all right, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd say out. If I have to break the tie. Yeah, it's unnecessary. I think it's unnecessary restriction. Let's take it out. Okay, what else you got, Helen?
Ron, did you vote?
Yeah,
I'm in.
And then
Okay.
actually, my last one is on page 64 of 188. Also a question. 44.6. It says that council may give up to 3 readings of a bylaw in a single motion.
Yeah.
But I recall somewhere if it's a zoning or rezoning thing, you can't do that? Do we have like a...
No, you can adopt at the same meeting that you do third reading. That's probably what you're... For zoning and amendment, for a zoning or, I think it's only zoning, it might be for building as well, you can do third reading and adoption on the same day. But that's the only exception under the charter.
So
Yeah,
for
so
zoning...
number eight addresses that.
Okay.
64.6,
Yeah.
44.6.
Okay, so...
64,
Okay,
44.6.
got it.
And while we're on that one, can I just interject one comment that I had? Are 5 and 6 not saying the same thing, or are they actually slightly different? Because one is talking at the same council meeting, the other one is talking about a single motion. Those are not conflicting.
No, they're not. No,
They're not,
in
no.
a single motion just means you don't have to go that we pass,
Yeah,
first
exactly.
reading, that we pass second. You can just say first, second, third in one motion. It's just a little bit of streamlining. But this gives you the authority to do 2 or 3 at a single meeting if you want to. Generally,
Should
you
they
wouldn't.
not say 1, 2, or 3?
Well, you couldn't do 2 without 1.
What she's
Can
saying
do
is
3
1,
without
2,
2.
3.
Yeah, the reason that's in there is to allow you to, not very many councils do the second and the third all at once, just by virtue of the fact that after the third reading, you can't make any amendments, right? But for the ones that are really simple, like for instance the tax rates bylaw that we all knew about before they came forward, you may want to do 2 and 3 all at once to speed the process and meet the legislative deadlines.
Well, should we not then, should that,
You could take out 5 entirely because it's in accordance with the community charter. So it's already contained in the charter.
yeah, that's true, and but it's convenient to call it out. But should we not then just say may give 3 readings to proposed bylaw at the same council meeting?
Yep.
May.
You can.
Get rid of the 2 thing. Just to make it clear that you may. You don't have to. Sorry. What else you got, Helen?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, so if we just return to the beginning, I don't have anything quite so substantive. Do we not use the term member? Not council member, but member.
The reason we didn't use member was because we had to be able to define between a council member and a committee member.
Right, so that's taken care of now, that's good.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll try and keep this brief. On page 52 of 188, under 13, that on a rotating basis, I think we need to tighten up on what that means. We don't have to stipulate that it's going to be alphabetical and all that stuff, and you know the first, because we had that little thing about the first half of December or the second half of December, but this on a rotating basis is not quite how we do it.
Well, I guess it depends what rotating means. It could be any number of things. It could be by virtue of who's away at any time of year. It could be reversed alphabetically. It could be alphabetically.
Well, I suggest we just take out the words on a rotating basis.
Okay. Okay, I think that's easy. To serve as the council member responsible for. Yeah.
So to quiz
That's
on,
taken from the existing bylaw. That's
to
why I
quiz
said
on that point then, so I have been at a meeting where the mayor was not there and the deputy for the quarter wasn't there
Here?
here.
Oh, interesting.
So,
So what? That's taken later. If both
Yeah,
the
so it's number
are
15?
absent, it's under 15. Yeah.
okay,
Okay, moving on. We got a confusion in numbers starting after 20.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
There's lots of changes, so
Yeah.
it might be.
so there's 2 21s.
Okay, so I need to renumber. Yeah.
And then
thank
all the
you.
references to them you'll have to go
Yeah,
through as
I
well. So I won't point out those. But under agenda,
Yep.
is that not a section number? Should that not be 22 actually?
Yes, it probably should be. Thank you.
Okay. And then similar, so these numbers are
I'll look at the numbers.
all a bit funky.
They all run together for a while. Sure.
26, what is now currently 26 but will turn into something else, needs a heading. Is it abstention is the heading?
No, actually, it's on the previous page. Is voting at meetings, so it all falls under
fine.
voting.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay, yeah, I got you. With you there. Conduct and debate, which is currently 31. Does this conduct and debate apply to committees as well?
Yes.
Do we want to run our committees by addressing people by their title? Committees? The Illinois Council, I don't particularly.
you know, I do as a formality, but it's neither here nor there. And that
This
it's
stipulates it.
The last one did too.
Yeah, I know.
We
But
have
we
to
were breaking the
provide.
bylaw. No, in fact, I'm breaking
yeah.
the bylaw now, Ron.
We have to provide. We have to provide for some.
Bringing it again, Andy.
How about if we move
It's 'cause
the
you
minor
can't
word
say my
at the, something,
Right.
if we made a modification at the chair's pleasure kind of thing.
That's
I
exactly
think
where I'm
that's
thinking.
probably fair, or in the.
I mean, that way it's either or. Some meetings are quite tense and should be formal,
Yeah,
and
but I
others
think
are
it's up to the chair
bingo.
of the committee or the meeting to set the tone. And so I would like to see exactly that at the chair's
At the
discretion.
pleasure of the
I think
chair.
that's fine.
So if you fit that in wherever, that's fine.
Fit it,
Now-
you want it written in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, certainly I want to take out the stipulation that the title shall be used.
Okay.
So
Let me-
then under, you can come up with the wording that's excellent, so we don't need to hash that over too much.
Yeah.
Under what is now 32, 33 and 34, are those not covered by Roberts? adequately?
Yes, they are, but for anybody who wasn't familiar with Roberts, these are the ones that are the most commonly used, so the ministry,
calling
the
them out.
ministry
They still
version
have to be-
recommends that you put a few.
They still have to be in here
Yeah.
according, they still need to be
The
listed
major
in here
ones.
as part of the procedure bylaw.
Yeah.
Do we refer to Roberts somewhere else?
We do, it's in the very beginning, I believe.
Okay, so that's-
Under interpretation, no, application of rules of procedure.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
6-2,
That's good.
page
That's
14.
fine. Okay, so we'll leave those in. So now you've added some pieces on committees.
Yeah.
That doesn't mess with. It doesn't conflict with the meetings part, the strategy committee meeting.
No, they're loose. They're not too restrictive, but I think they cover off the intent of committees well. And that is that they have to have minutes, that they have to, post notice of their meetings, they have to have a quorum, public participation guidelines apply, all those kinds of things.
Okay. Fine.
How they, duties and authority was the big one I wanted to have in there. What committees can and can't do, what their role is and is not.
Yeah.
I think this bylaw is light years ahead of what we've had in the
It's
past.
actually usable.
It's usable, and it actually, and we will refine it as we go on,
Yeah.
but it's certainly gonna work. And that's the intent.
Yeah. 61. Should it be this bylaw or is it a different bylaw?
Sorry, 61,
Or
section 61
section,
or
what is currently 61? Yeah.
this, it should say this.
I see a slightly inconsistent use. Sometimes it says the council and sometimes it says council.
Okay.
I don't care which one, but I think we should get it consistent. That's
Okay.
just a search and
Why don't
Yeah.
you say council?
Yeah, I would say council.
It should
Yeah, I
just be
would drop
council,
the.
yeah.
So occasionally I see a the council. Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else?
Okay.
Okay, so the motion will be for the third reading. This is it. This is where the rubber hits the road.
No, the motion will be for second reading. This
Second
is
reading.
this
Oh,
is
the second reading.
Second
So I'll
reading.
make these changes to bring it back for third.
Do we say read a second time as amended, or is the form
No.
is just read a second time?
The intent, the understanding is that changes can happen between 1
It's
and
being
3.
amended,
It
yeah.
doesn't need to be stated.
Through the mayor, CAO, I'm going to number 60, mayor, a member of all committees, and I'm thinking of the Bear Smart thing where I'm sure the mayor's trying to farm that out.
Ex officio, that doesn't mean I
means
have to.
non-voting.
Yeah, I don't have to go.
As a voting member of the committees of which the mayor is appointed.
Appointed.
Yeah.
Well, if I am, I'll talk to the best one later.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a solution there.
okay.
That does involve my time, unfortunately, but I'm happy to do it. Okay, so we'll go for second reading. Can I have a motion for second reading? Thanks, and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take the vote on the question. All in favour? Opposed? It's none, so that carries unanimously. Thanks, well done, Mandy.
Thank you.
This is slowly grinding its way towards reality.
I'll be glad for it to be done.
Okay, then we're going to whip through the next ones because these are those kinds of whipping through ones. The sewer user rates amendment bylaw. We've seen it. We've given 2 readings, correct, Mandy?
Yes, so this is
This is the third reading.
Yeah.
Unless Pam.
So is it 5-year financial plan bylaw?
Sorry, beg your pardon.
Yeah,
45.
we're at,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I was
We already did
I was
one.
discombobulated by D. Okay, so we're first doing the 5-year financial plan bylaw. Starting on page 69. We've seen it. We've done 2 readings. Passed the first 2 readings. We're now going for a third reading. This is the final reading before adoption. Correct? Yes?
yes.
Can I have a motion for a third reading? Thanks. And a second. Any further discussion? Pam, there are some minor changes which you've outlined to us in notes, I believe. Yes, we're all aware of those. I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries. Good, thanks. Same again for sewer user rates.
Third reading.
I'll call for a motion for the third reading of the sewer parcel tax amendment 2015 bylaw 487. Can I have a motion? I think I saw you raise your hand, Ron, thanks.
Yeah.
And a second?
Sorry, wait, hang on one sec, we're at sewer user rates amendment number 486.
486.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Recorder and all people paying attention. 486, that's the one we're voting on now. We've done the first and second, we're going for a third reading. I can have a motion for this one, thanks, and a second.
That's what he said.
Thanks. Further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favour? Opposed? None? That carries. Now we'll do the one I really wanted to do next, which was 487, the sewer parcel tax amendment 2015. We've done 2 readings, we'll go for the third reading. Can I have a motion for the third reading, please? Thanks, Fred. Second. Thanks, Ron. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favour? And opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. The tax rate 2015 bylaw number 488. Sorry, guys. We've had 2 readings. Can I have a motion for the third reading, please? Thanks, and a second. Further discussion? No? I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, it carries unanimously. Checking ourselves here. For the parcel tax amendment 89. Second reading has been done. I'll call for a motion on the third reading, please. Thanks, and a second. Thanks, and further discussion? There being none, I'll call the question. All in favour? Opposed? None. That carries unanimously. Thanks. Third reading went a lot quicker than the first and second reading.
That's usually the way. By then you're well versed, you could probably recite it to us.
We've done G, and we'll now go to H on page 137.
So this is a bring forward. I may get Pam to speak to this. You'll recall that we tabled this, not wanting it to be the first bylaw that was adopted by this council. But when Pam and I sat down and went through it when she was appointed, we realized a calculation error has been made in this bylaw. We need to rescind the third reading so that we can fix it.
Oh.
Oh.
Basically,
It was handed over from Pam's predecessor, and so somewhere in the translation,
Good catch.
percentages were not
yeah,
quite right.
Basically, the salaries have to reflect what you're currently being paid, so that if you have a raise this year, the salary will increase. So that was the problem. We have to restate those numbers. But in addition, when I noticed the CPI, it's basically saying shall parallel in terms of percentage the CPI. CPI does go down, so I'm not sure that's the best measurement. So we could maybe investigate some other ways to measure it when we're changing some of the numbers. It could be at council's discretion with the guidance of CPI. And I think you should also specify which CPI. There's Canada-wide, BC, Vancouver. But we had some bylaws, the endowment fund at West Vancouver that went by CPI. In 2 of the 3 years I did it, the CPI actually went down. So I don't think you want to have a salary decrease.
Well,
So-
I mean,
Or you could, I mean, it's council's option, but you could say CPI.
costs go down.
Either flat or.
You know, we're living paycheck to paycheck on our council salaries, after all.
So-
You're living on your salary?
No, he gets paid a lot more than us.
Yeah, I do get paid a lot more. Yeah.
So for the
It is a
purpose-
living wage.
Yeah.
For the purpose of tonight, we're just
Just
looking
gonna
to
rescind.
rescind.
Just rescind.
And then
Okay,
council
good,
will
that's fine,
rescind
yeah.
third reading.
Okay, and then
we'll
you'll
take
come
it
up
away.
with,
That's a good catch.
take it away? That's good. Okay, so can I have a motion to rescind the third reading of the council administrator? Second? Thanks, and further discussion? All in favour of the motion? All opposed? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Okay, this is correspondence. I do not propose to go through these, other than to say there was a letter from Brigida Shaw, which I will handle. R1. Mandy, do you need to talk to the piece on the Econ Board of Directors?
No, we sent off our letter with
It's been
our
discussed.
endorsement, and they were happy with it. They acknowledged receipt. That's all good. One thing I will maybe just touch on page 155. We're getting into wildfire season, so the wildfire news comes to us. I'm not sure if it's once a week or twice
Every
a month,
Friday.
or is it every Friday?
Mhm.
So we're gonna work on including this in our e-post, just because it's good information, just by virtue of being surrounded by forests and potentially, you know, having a water shortage this summer. It's good information to circulate.
It's always good to see that we have the most intense red centre right over Lions
It's
Bay.
not good to see.
So no, it'll just be a click on, right? It's not gonna be like
It'll be an
added.
attachment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, good, thanks. Actually, I'd say we wouldn't go through it. I did just want to point out the North Shore
We do it.
Congress would be a good opportunity for us all to go and press the flesh.
I think we're all there.
Yeah, are we all going to be there?
So
May
have the
20th?
RSVPs been?
Certainly, mine have, and I know Ron's has.
Okay.
Shauna, have we RSVP to that thing for everybody, to your knowledge?
I don't think
Yeah.
we in the office knew who was going. I saw that you circulated it to
one is
council.
that?
One
yeah,
side,
you're right. I
wasn't
think
it?
we individually RSVP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
143.
individually.
So it's Shauna, it's on page 143.
Okay, so, no,
So,
that,
yeah,
that's
we weren't aware who was going.
fine. So, if you have not RSVP'd,
Do so.
I encourage us all to go, and I would.
Oh, yeah,
therefore-
I've already
I
responded.
thought.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Okay,
did
good.
too, Fred.
I did.
I've already got it in my
So I
calendar.
think we're all in.
Okay, perfect.
I asked for no
That
liver
one
in the
for
dinner. Is that okay?
No, the-
Once in a while I do.
Just you're allergic, then it'll be okay.
Anything that's only a 10-minute drive, I'm there.
Yeah.
You have no idea what my schedule is like sometimes.
The piece on page
Clients with big checkbooks.
158 has been sent to Ruth for information.
Yeah.
Because she,
You know, anything can come across the transom. We will give it. We'll give it airtime. However, voluminous it is.
let me just sort of peek here what you commented. Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to add.
Okay, good. What about this National Health and Fitness Day? Did we have to make a resolution on that?
We resolved quite a long time ago
We
to
did. I thought,
support.
yeah, it's taken care of.
And then it comes up in new business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we're going to move on. Everybody cool with that? Thank you. New business, National Health and Fitness Day, page 185. Why am I not finding that?
It's on 185.
Page 185, yeah.
That's just it's
Oh, I had
the
it in the wrong
piece
section.
After 184.
It's the piece from.
Thank you. That's what I was
John
asking.
Weston's office.
Should have said no, can't you go in the wrong section? Okay, so what's going on here, Manny?
So I think you had put this on the agenda, but I'll just touch on the fact that you, so the Mayor and Councillor Waterston and I met with Mr. Dudley to talk about potential event, trail run and kind of community event on National Health and Fitness Day, which is Saturday, June 6th. Our MP, John Weston, is keen to participate. His timing is a little tricky. I spoke to his office this week. Originally they thought they'd be available earlier in the day. Now it's looking like later in the morning. So I'm trying to work timing with his office, but he's interested in participating. And then I think you and I are going to continue the conversation with John Dudley on how this rolls out. Anything to add?
No, I think that probably covers it for now. Good, thanks. So we'll move on to the BOCO Working Group Committee, 187.
So to speak to the first question, no, we don't have anything on file as received in the office specifically relating to this. So, but I haven't been able to make the time to source the application further.
Yeah. I will actually add something here. Okay, so we'll leave that one as it is and move on to community calendar. Whose is this? Helen?
It's mine. So actually, it goes back to improving community engagement, enhancing communication. So I reinstated our community calendar. We used to have that printed in the back of somewhere.
Yeah, Village
Yeah.
News. I mean the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to come on a flyer.
It was on the village update, and then when the village update was, phased out, then it was on the website, just in a clickable link.
Yeah, yeah.
They used to do that in the Seagull, didn't they?
I wasn't here for the seagulls, so
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Especially, I think a lot of, especially the older
Yeah,
residents
yeah.
appreciate A full
They
calendar?
like to have one. They stick it on the fridge. Well, I certainly do,
I didn't tell you that.
and I'm one of the older.
How do you place it in the hands of people?
Well, currently, the plan is to put it in one of the, perhaps the e-post that runs at the end of the month, and it's a click-on, so they can print it out.
That only goes to 500 something people. What does a mail drop cost again?
It's,
600
well,
bucks.
no, it's not 600, but
$60.
it's, with the rate increase, it's like
It's just
70,
Just
just
under
under
60?
60? Okay, yeah, so, or we could always stick a stack on the postal counter for takeaways, if we're concerned about that.
We could do that.
Yeah, I mean 60 times 12. You know, I think we could spring for. There's budget for that. Communications budget.
Well, we haven't budgeted for a monthly ad mail, so no.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the distribution another time. That will be your department anyway. But
Well, certainly now I'll post it in, the various bulletin boards and whatnot.
Yeah, we can throw
Well,
50
we
on
can
in the
burn the,
post
burn the
office.
council budget if you think it's important for a grant,
yeah,
but you're gonna run out of money.
you know, we're
somewhere.
talking. Yeah, the wider thing is about is ensuring that there are channels of communication. Email is the channel of choice. If you don't have email, we'll facilitate it another way. We'll put. I'm about to get donation of any number of computers from Blue Cross that we will put in the library as a community service thing. People will teach people how to use them. This is email. Here's your free Gmail address, etc. So we will get it distributed.
Good.
Good.
Is that the right answer?
Yes.
Good, thanks. So who's going to maintain that?
Currently me, until we find a communications person, I guess.
Reviewing the budget? Yeah. Some of that is already on the website.
We have a calendar on the website.
That's
That's
more
why
the
we
official
we tried to phase out the
Yeah,
calendar.
yeah.
But
The calendar on the website is more municipal stuff, like
Yeah, it's official stuff,
it's
yeah.
not,
yeah, we could
Events.
add more to it. I mean, we do have the 50+ program on there, or 55, the age-friendly program. You know, we're slowly migrating more things into the calendar. I don't see why we couldn't do that as well.
we should have
But
one or if we can have just one, that would be
Why
good.
wouldn't we do just one?
yeah,
But then I would gather the information and give it to you.
well, we have the program information. That's how that was created, wasn't it?
Well, I had to actually call around to the various groups and events to get the information.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
like
us-
boot camp and brownies and.
Yeah, so we wouldn't put, so for instance, brownies isn't something we put on the municipal calendar because it's not open to anybody as a blanket invite. So that tends to be
Yeah.
anything that's open for anybody to show up and participate, those are the things we tend to put on the calendar.
Yeah.
Anything that's reduced to only the user groups or people who have bought their space, then we wouldn't. So that's kind of our threshold from this end, but.
There's, the website that we currently have is better than what we used to have, but
There's
it's
lots of
nowhere
room for
near,
improvement.
nowhere near where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have to upgrade right now, but the thing is, as time goes on, the more of these things that we add, calendars for different events and things like that, the easier that website needs to be for people to access almost anywhere they are. It should be scalable, it should be able to be on their phones, on their iPads, and the more we do that, the more people are gonna get into the technology, and all of a sudden, it'll be a lot easier to manage and go on from there.
I agree.
I know we're doing that now with our website, and it's just really scary. We thought we were okay, but not even close.
I would love to have somebody completely overhaul it. It's just that it's expensive, time consuming. So.
So can I can I collect the information and give it to you? Then you can plug it into the current calendar instead of having two calendars?
Yeah, on the proviso, I'm not gonna put, say, brownies on Mondays because that's not open
Okay, so anything
invitation.
that's
So that would
open.
be our
Yeah.
threshold. But yeah, I have no
that
problem
works-
adding that
works
to the
for-
calendar.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works for me too.
Okay.
Are we not doing that calendar?
Are we still gonna do that one? We're still doing both. Is that?
Well, this one has already gone out, so as of
No, I
June-
guess for moving forward, do you still plan to do that and we'll put them on there?
No,
No?
only
Okay.
because then people get confused, right? They're not, oh, do we look at that one? Do we look at, because we want people to go to the website, to
Yes,
start
yeah, I
using the
agree.
website, right?
I agree.
As
And
their main
that's-
source of information.
That's just a function of an extra spot, different space, community or whatever the case is, as opposed to council and, you know, that type of thing. This is a quote-unquote community calendar, and
How does people find out about brownies?
Word of mouth.
Well, we've had people phone the office.
We can also go on the Facebook page, or the, whatever it is that we do.
that's a good place for it, actually.
Yeah.
We- yeah.
Okay, so is that the result that you're looking for? That you're
Yes,
good
that
You
would
with?
be
okay with
good.
that?
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Okay, great.
Great.
Thanks. Okay, so we'll move on to Lions Bay 55 Plus Club update.
I'm not sure if we did give you the update that Karen Jeffries has started. I think last week was her first.
Last Wednesday, yeah.
Last
She'll be in
Wednesday.
tomorrow. Mhm.
Yep, so she's gonna be running it and organizing it. Very capable, so I'm pleased. The May schedule is planned, so we'll be working on the summer schedule soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and we just added a new program. We
Oh,
just
yeah.
added the, we don't wanna call it that, do
No,
we? We
it's
wanna
called
call it stretch and strengthen. Yeah.
No one liked chair aerobics.
Yeah,
So there's a new stretch and
could've
strength
told
class coming.
that was what the
so
facilitator called it, so that's how we, yeah.
Thursdays. What time?
Do you remember?
1:30 to 2:30.
1:30 to 2:30, and we expect all council members who are in town to
Yeah.
join.
It's 1
I get-
hour on Thursdays for
Starting May
4
1st.
sessions.
I get stretch sessions every week. I get the invites by email. Gym stretch.
Nice.
And I get put on a rack and I get stretched.
It's really quite fun. You should try it at least once. Carl.
I'm going to be sick that day.
Sounds like the Inquisition to me.
Yeah. It works though.
Sounds like hard work. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
What are the prospects for? What are the prospects for next year getting the same grant?
It depends how successfully we deliver it this year.
Oh,
But I
really?
think the intent, I actually would think that they may be slim to none. The intent of that grant was that we were gonna be able, it was gonna help us facilitate a program that we could then carry on. So,
Okay. Okay, moving on. Volunteer Day and Centennial Trail Work Party. Whose is this?
it's either yours or Helen's, I can't remember.
So the two of you were gonna take it.
Yeah.
right?
As a result of the discussion that we had at Strategy Committee, I'm going to defer this one. I want to think through, having chat to Mandy about. I want to do more than hitch clippers and secateurs, but also want to make sure that there's going to be adequate supply of volunteers.
Isn't this part of the trail, the people that built the trail, like the trail committee, like not the trail, but the,
No, the Trailblazers just want to cut
Trailblazers.
back brambles with the hitch clippers.
okay.
I'm talking about something else
No,
entirely. I'm talking
okay.
about rebuilding bridges
Yeah.
that were put in place by Kiewit. I'm talking about reducing deadfall for
Okay.
safety reasons. That's not within what John Dudley is thinking at all for the ambit, the scope of the Trailblazers stuff.
Okay.
So we're talking about, we could coincide the projects, but we're talking about separate projects. Do we have the manpower to go and chip a whole bunch of trees? Maybe not. John says he typically gets about 20 people out of these things. So-
Yeah, and he thought that was being fairly generous, so.
Okay,
I
so
think
it just
that's
may not be
very- That's
feasible.
extremely generous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's why the scope of what he's proposing is not bigger.
He knows.
So this is on hold until you have.
I want to think. I want to think through some more. I want to think through what I'm actually trying to accomplish here, which is I know what I'm trying to accomplish. I want to get rid of a whole bunch of deadfall on Centennial Trail, which is at the lower end of the village, in case it catches fire from the road. Is that feasible? That's the question I have to think through. And I'll talk to Fred about that because he's the guy. We need to go for a walk. Tell me how bad you think it is. Maybe we have Andrew along. Okay.
Wait, but do we still need to address the issues that were identified in that report?
In the risk assessment?
Yes.
Yeah.
So-
So
Would that be done under the auspices of this thing?
we talked that some of them could.
Okay.
Some other ones may require some budget and some public works attention.
Yeah, and you did. There was a word mentioned coming from you with witnesses, and I wrote it down that you might be able to come up with some budget on that one.
Yeah, I said potentially $1,000 for wildfire risk mitigation from the emergency plan, I think is what I said.
So,
Okay. I'm only going to hold you to that.
It's on the recording now.
Yeah. Official.
So what happens? Do we need another meeting with John to
We
move
need,
forward on that?
I think it's left in your court.
It's
Is
in my
that-
court, right?
okay.
And yes, it's the short answer, but there's a few steps I want to take
Okay.
before I get there.
All right.
And I also know that May 20th is today, so we're...
June.
June, June. Yeah, I said that, that's
thought,
honestly possible. Okay, so we're going to move on. Sponsorship, attraction, success, concurrence to approach another target.
Thank you, Member. I talked about sponsorship attraction. I haven't checked whether the check's in hand, but the sponsor is nodded. By the current standards, it would be one of the larger ones that our committee groups have attained. I stuck it in with the proviso that it's a 3-year commitment. They agreed to that too. It appears to be, I won't name the sponsor. It appears to be a very good fit with the events committee who I've handed this off to, so their chairman is now running with the ball. You're going to probably see these folks on Canada Day. The plus here is more than just their cash, which we're going to be receiving. It's a good marketing opportunity for the sponsor. There's fundraising opportunities for the events committee, and within what the sponsor does, there's provision of services that are highly desired by the events committee. So it's a good fit, so that's a good thing. Everybody's doing their piece on attracting different sponsors, and Mayor Bear's doing stuff. And Councillor Watterson talks people out of their money for photographs, so who knows. To the other piece on this, I'm thinking of something larger. I talked about this before, but with nods of the council members, without thinking how large the number might be, I'm thinking of larger corporate sponsors that have not been tapped yet within the village, to see what we might do for naming rights for stuff, or what I would call modest capital projects. So if that's got people's blessing until I bring it back with some more details, I'd be happy to proceed.
Yeah, speaking for myself, I want to be very careful about committing the village to too much, too commercialized an opportunity. I don't want to be walking on the XYZ corporation corporate stairs out here. So it very much depends on what it is. You know, one of the joys to me of living in Canada is you're not inundated by with the GE pavilion and this, that, and the other opportunity at every turn. And I think that's the Canadian way, but that's just me. So the short answer is it's going to depend.
The flip
back
side
to the
being
first
if
one.
somebody offered us $20,000 for the GE barbecue pit at the back, you may reconsider that.
Yeah, that puts me in mind of a joke. Can I tell the joke?
Let's not.
No.
No, probably not ready for prime time.
I'll bring this back.
Close. So the sponsorship attraction, the obligations are within any obligation that takes place is the events committee.
I knew I'm going to have to work on that because basically I'm focused on a number and what it would get for us.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of capital projects now, unless a smaller sponsorship came up that I'd hand it off to. I'd probably assist in the negotiations, but I'd give it to a committee.
As long as it's something that we were going to do anyway.
Well, yes, I mean, I'm thinking of washrooms,
Yeah.
barbecue pits, as examples.
Okay, everybody cool with that? Until we know further.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Open mind.
Okay, so we'll move on to public questions and comments. Susan? Come on.
Nope.
Anybody? Okay.
Before you read the in-camera resolution, or the closed meeting resolution, I noticed in the last line there's a typo. And the reference should be section 22, 3H, not 223.
Thank you. I'm not going to read all of it. That one.
Just so everybody's clear and it's on the record.
Okay, thanks. How do we stand for time? Must we do any resolution
No,
now?
not yet.
We're
10 o'clock. We'll
10
do
o'clock?
10,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll be
We
done.
may be done by then.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, folks, we're going to close the meeting, and the resolution is that we do close the meeting to the public on the basis of matters to be considered under the following sections of the Community Charter, 91, as we know very well, famous, well-tested, part of the council meeting. May be closed to the public. Cheers, sir. If the subject matter being considered relates to one more of the following: labour relations, other employee relations, That's sub C, sub K, negotiations and related discussion respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that at the preliminary stages and that in the view of council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. And M, a matter that under another enactment is such that the public may be excluded from the meeting. And that enactment is FOIPA section 22(3)H. So everybody that shouldn't be here shouldn't be here.
Move in second.
So, thank you. Can I have a motion to close? And second, all in favour? Opposed? Seeing none, that carries.
So we're not
Was there
reporting
anything?
out, no, we're not reporting out on anything
Is that correct?
at this point.
We're reporting out that we had to change the agenda. No, we didn't.
No,
need to do
because
that.
we didn't.
We
Didn't exist.
Yep. Yeah, never
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. Okay, good. Fantastic. Okay, so motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
We do want to release the regional context statement
Uh-huh.
publicly
I thought there
with
was
the
something.
updates that were identified in camera.
Okay.
So
Is that good enough?
Yeah.
For the minutes.
yes. I think
Good.
that's it.
Yes, with as amended.
Yeah.
As
With the updates. Yeah.
And then that's good to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is then our original context statement.
Subject to the whole process that ensues
have to
afterwards.
Oh well, no, yeah. Then we have to do the
Yeah.
bylaw and.
Yeah.
and
That
all
is-
So
that.
I'll start that
And
process.
Crap load of legislation today.
Yeah.
Sure did. Okay, so now we'll do a motion to adjourn. And a second, and all in favour?
Ooh, well done.
Opposed?
Well
Carried?
done. Very
10
well done.
p.m.
Okay,